Hi, this is Math 0018, Section 4.5. Today we're going to be looking at converting fractions and decimals. So first we're going to convert fractions to decimals, then we're going to go backwards and convert decimals to fractions, and finally convert mixed numbers to decimals. So let's get started. So to convert fractions to decimals, it's simply division. Anytime you have a fraction, such as 5/8 here is our example, you divide the numerator by the denominator. And so if you do that, it's written over here to the right. It was done by hand, okay? But you can also just use your calculator. The 5 would go into the calculator first, divided by 8, and when you do that, you get that decimal, 0.625. Now, if you notice, and it won't tell you this on your calculator, but if you do it by hand, it eventually gives you a remainder of 0. That type of decimal is called a terminating decimal. So the whole idea there is it ends. You'll see the difference because the decimals, the fractions that we're going to be working with, will either terminate or they'll repeat. So this one terminates because when you divide it on your calculator, you just get 0.625, and that's it. It terminates. It terminates. Arnold Schwarzenegger loves terminating decimals. I'll be back with another bad joke. Sorry. I know it's really bad. Anyway, on we go. So now, let's look at 7 over 11. If we want to convert that to a decimal, we do 7 divided by 11. And when you do that in your calculator, helps if you turn the calculator on, you get 0.63 and 636363 forever and ever. So when you have that problem, you get a repeating decimal, all right? And when you write your answer, what you're going to have is the 0.63. You have to put the bar over both the 6 and the 3 so that you show that that's what's repeating. So you have to make sure that you cover the pattern of what's repeating there. All right. Now, let's see. Oh, okay, it talks about that. That's fine. All right, so let's look at some of these fractions, and we're going to change them to decimals. So 5/12, you're going to do 5 divided by 12 in your calculator, and you should get 0.41666 forever and ever. Now, on my calculator, the last digit is a 7 behind a bunch of 6's. The 7 is where the calculator has rounded off to the last place value. Do not put that 7 there. That's just where it's rounded, okay? So what's repeating here are those 6's, all right? So when you write your answer, you're going to write 0.416 and put a bar over the 6. If you want to put 2 6's and put the bar over both of them, that's fine, but the 6 is what's repeating, so you only need 1 6 to show that pattern there. All right, let's look at number 2. 32 over 15, so 32 divided by 15, we get 2.1333 forever and ever. So the bar goes over the 3 there. All right. Number 3. 5 over 16, we're going to do 5 divided by 16, and here we get 0.3125. That one terminated, so you don't have to have any repeating bars there at all. All right, and 3/8, number 4, 3 divided by 8 comes out to be 0.375, and that's also a terminating decimal. It did not repeat. So these answers are going to either repeat or terminate. They'll do one of the two when you're doing these problems with the fractions. Now, let's go backwards. We've just done fractions to decimals. Now we're going to convert decimals to fractions. So what you're going to do, you're going to start with the decimal, and you're going to get rid of the decimal point and put the decimal number, the decimal part, as a numerator. You're going to put it as the numerator, and then the denominator is going to be equal to the place value of the last digit. All right. Another way to do that is the place values are going to be the same as the number of digits behind the decimal. So like say you have 3 digits behind the decimal point. That means that your denominator has to have 3 zeros in it. So you write a 1 and then 3 zeros. So I'll show you how that works. It's a lot easier, and you don't even really have to think about the place value there. And then once you get your fraction, you make sure that you write it in simplest form. You have to reduce your answer. Now, if you have a whole number in front of the decimal, that's going to become the whole number part of a mixed number. And then you still change the decimal part above, just the same way we did with the first two steps. So let me show you what we're talking about, because then it'll make more sense. Okay, it says convert 0.45 to a fraction in simplest form. So what I do is I ignore the decimal point, I drop the decimal point, put the 45 on top of my fraction. Now, look at the decimal point here. You've got two digits to the right of the decimal point, 45. So that means we're going to put a 1 and then two zeros. And also, if you went back and looked at reading that decimal correctly, it's 45 hundredths, because the 5 is in the hundredths place, and that's exactly what I've written, 45 hundredths. Okay? So, what you want to do is just remember you need the 1 and then however many zeros corresponds to the number of digits behind the decimal point. Now it says in simplest form. Well, look at 45 and 100. Both of those have a common factor of 5. So if I divide the top and bottom by 5, let's see, 45 divided by 5 is 9, and 100 divided by 5 gives me 20. So that's my fraction. Alright, so here's some more problems. Convert the decimals to fractions or mixed numbers in simplest form. So here we have 0.56. So we're going to put the 56 on top of the fraction, and then there's two digits behind the decimal point, so it's got to be over 100. Two digits, two zeros. Now, simplest form. Both of these are even, so I can divide by 2. Alright? So 56 divided by 2, what is that? 28. And then 100 divided by 2 is 50. Now, I can still keep reducing because 28 and 50, those are still even. I can still divide by 2. So if I divide the top and bottom again by 2, let me come down here where I've got some room. 28 divided by 2 is 14, and 50 divided by 2 is 25. And now 14 and 25 don't have any common factors, so that's your simplest form. Okay, number 2, 0.415. So we're going to put 415, and it's going to have 3 digits there, so it's going to be over 1,000. You need 3 zeros. So they end in 5 and 0, so I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 5. Because I know 5 will go into both of those. So 415 divided by 5 is going to be 83. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check that. 415 divided by, yep, 83. Gosh, I am good, right? All right, and then 1,000 divided by 5 should be 200. Now 83, 2 doesn't go into that. 3 does not go. 5 doesn't go. 7 does not go. Pretty sure that that's it. I think that is your simplest form there. All right, number 3, 0.08. Now this one's kind of tricky. You just put 8 on the top. You ignore the 0 when you're putting your numerator there. But when we go back to write the denominator, there's 2 digits and you have to count that 0. So the 2 digits there means that it's going to go over 100. Because if you read that decimal, it's 8 hundredths. The 8 is in the hundredths place. Now 8 and 100, I can reduce those by 4. Now if you happen to see 2, that's fine. You just have to reduce twice. It's no big deal. So 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 100 divided by 4 is 25. That's your final fraction there. All right? And 9.75. Okay, here's what you're going to do. The 9 is a whole number in front of the decimal point. So you're going to write 9 as a big whole number for your fraction. It's going to be a mixed number. And we're going to put the 75. It's going to go over 100 because we have 2 digits there. Now, we can't do anything with the 9, but 75 and 100, you may see 5, or did anybody see 25? Think about quarters. Like quarters will, 25 will go into 75 and 100. So if you didn't see 25, once again, no big deal. You can just divide by 5 twice. same thing, okay? But if you see 25, you get to the answer quicker. And the quicker you get to the answer, yes, that's right, you're happier, okay? So 75 divided by 25 is 3, and 100 divided by 25 is 4. So it gives us the mixed number 9 3/4. Ha! Like Harry Potter again, platform 9 3/4. All right. So now let's see. Here we're going to do some more. Convert the decimals or to fractions or mixed numbers. Okay, so it could be either one. It could be a fraction or a mixed number. So if we have 0.44, we're going to put 44 as our numerator over 100 because we have two digits behind the decimal point. So 44 and 100, I can reduce that by 4. 4 will go into both of those. Okay. And that's going to give me 11 on top, and 100 divided by 4 is 25. So there's my fraction. Number 6, we have a negative 33.125. So the negative 33 is going to be our whole number, and then you put 125 over, here you've got 3 digits, so it's going to be over 1,000. All right. Now, 125 and 1,000, I can reduce those by 25. So if I divide by 25 on the top and bottom, 25 goes into 125 5 times. And you know, use your calculator for all of this. Makes it a lot easier. And 1,000 divided by 25 should be 40, I think. Pretty sure. Let me double check that. Divided by 25. Yep, 40. Okay, now look at 5 and 40. I can still reduce that again. I can divide by 5 on the top and bottom. So your final answer, make sure you keep that negative 33, and then you would get 1/8. So our mixed number is negative 33 and 1/8. Number 7, look at the digits behind the decimal point. The only one you need to worry about on the numerator is 2. But now look, you have 3 digits behind the decimal point. So that's going to be over 1,000. All right. Now reduce it. Divide by 2 because they're both even. So we end up with 1 on top. And 1,000 divided by 2 would be 500. So our fraction is 1 over 500. And number 8, we are going to get a mixed number here because we have a whole number in front of the decimal point. So we bring down the 2, and then we're going to put 51 over 100 because there's 2 digits, okay? And I think the only thing that goes into 51 is 3 and 17, which does not go into 100. So that's it, 2 and 51 over 100. Now, the next thing, the last objective here, is to convert mixed numbers to decimals. So what we're going to do is you write the whole number. That part stays the same. It's going to be the whole number part of your decimal. It's going to be to the left of the decimal point. And then you're going to change the fraction the same way we changed fractions earlier. We're going to divide the numerator by the denominator, and then you add that decimal to the whole number. So it's a pretty simple procedure here, okay? So here's what you're going to do. If you have 6 and 5/8, you keep the 6. That's going to be the whole number part. And then go ahead and put the decimal point there right after that decimal, right after the 6. So then you're going to, in your calculator, do 5 divided by 8, and you get 0.625. Well, whatever comes after the decimal point is what you write after your decimal point in your answer, 0.625. Because that's technically adding the 0 to the 6, so it stays the same. So that's one way to do it. To me, that's the easiest way to do it. You could also change the improper fraction, the mixed number to an improper fraction and then divide. So if you did that, remember you multiply and add, you would have 8 times 6 is 48, plus 5 would be, what, 53 over 8. And if you divide 53 divided by 8, you get 6.625. So it comes out the same. I think it's easier just to do just the fraction part because then you don't even have to do any changing of the mixed number to an improper fraction. So like here I'm going to keep the 12, put the decimal point, and then do 3 divided by 11, which gives me 0.27 repeating. So I put 0.27, and that's what repeats is the 27, so you put a bar over both numbers to show the pattern that's repeating there. Number 3, we're going to have a -5. Go ahead and put the decimal point, and then 3 divided by 4 turns out to be 0.75. So you have -5, 0.75. All right, on number 4, we have 342 and 5/9. So write 342 and the decimal point, and 5 divided by 9 is 0.5 repeating. So you put the 0.5, you just put that after the decimal point, and make sure you put your bar over the 5 there. Okay, so here's some for you to try. So pause the video and try these out. Number 1, to change 7/8 to a decimal, we're going to divide. 7 divided by 8, and it comes out to be 0.875. Okay, number 2, 5/11 would be 5 divided by 11, and it's going to be a repeating decimal. We get 0.45 forever and ever. It keeps repeating. So put that bar over both those numbers. Okay? 1/9, 1 divided by 9, gives you 0.1, and the 1 repeats forever and ever. So you could put 2 1s if you wanted to, but the 1 is enough because that's the pattern. And 15/16, you divide and you get 0.9375. So that one terminated, canceled out to 0. All right, here's some more. Convert the decimals to fractions or mixed numbers. So our first one, 12.33, we keep the 12, and then we're going to put 33 as our numerator, and it's got 2 digits, so we're going to put it over 100. Now, the only thing that goes into 33 is 3 and 11, and those do not go into 100. So that's it, 12 and 33 hundredths. Number 2, -4.62, keep the -4, and then we're going to put 62 over 100 because the 62 has 2 digits. Now, 62 and 100 are both even, so I can divide those by 2 to reduce. So keep -4, and let's see, that would be 31 on top, and 100 divided by 2 is 50. So that would be your mixed number there. Okay, number 3, we have 0.05. So we put 5, and it's got 2 digits behind the decimal point, so over 100. Now, 5 will go into both of those. So if I divide and reduce by 5, I'm going to get 1 over 20. There's your fraction there. And number 4, 0.104, you put the 104 on top, and there's 3 digits there, so it's going to be over 1,000. Now they're both even, so I'm going to divide by 2, the top and bottom. And let's see, that would be 52 on top, and 1,000 divided by 2 would be 500. Now, I still have 2 even numbers, so I'm going to divide by 2 again. All right, 52 divided by 2 is, what, 26? And 500 divided by 2 is 250. Oh my gosh, still 2 even numbers. Divide by 2 again. Okay, so 26 divided by 2 is 13, and 250 divided by 2 is 125. And that is it, because 13 is prime, so you can't go any further. So that would be your simplified fraction there. Okay, so the next one, we want to convert the mixed numbers to decimals. So you're going to keep the 2. On number 1, we have 2 and 4/9. Keep the 2, and then do 4. Go ahead and put that decimal point there. 4 divided by 9, and that's going to be 0.4 repeating. So you put that 4 behind there with the line over the top of it. Number 2, 8 and 2/3. So put the 8 and the decimal point, then do 2 divided by 3, and that gives you 0.6 repeating. So that's going to be with the bar over the top. Okay. Number 3, we have negative 12 and 2/5. So keep the negative 12, put the decimal point. 2 divided by 5 gives you 0.4. So that just goes behind the decimal. And number 4, put the 23 there. 23 and 24 over 25. Now divide 24 by 25 and we get 0.96. And that goes behind the decimal point. And that might be it for this section. Yep, that's it. So now you can do the homework in 4.5.